Our regrets are stories we tell ourselves. When you constantly worry about your past, you're supporting that belief in your present. We were curious about what would happen if we tried to release those worries and rewrite our stories. So we decided to do an experiment.
What happens if we dedicate time to relieving our regrets? This is a show where we take a moment to reveal the messy bits about ourselves without judgment. It's a show where we can reflect, learn, grow, and maybe even laugh about our actions, attitudes, and behaviors. It's a place where we can speak about our past and learn from it. Join us on the journey.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Let's Relieve Regret. I am your co-host, Victoria Muir-Bercia, and
I'm Shadoe Ball.
Our other host. We are on a journey and an experiment to relieve regret. Let's do a check-in. How are you feeling today, Shadoe?
Today's pretty good. I would give it about an 8 out of 10. How about you?
Yeah, it's a sunshiny day out today. I've been for my walk. Fall is setting in. I thought it was going to be actually really cold because it said the temperature was 5 degrees, and I went out and ended up walking in my t-shirt. So the sun is still powerful. So I'm gonna do like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I am grateful that the sun is still powerful and that winter isn't here yet.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you're listening to this in winter, we're sorry. We're just reminiscing about when it wasn't so wintry outside.
Yeah.
No, that's
you have a cause for applause.
Yeah. A cause for applause. Okay. So maybe this one's kind of cheesy, but I'm happy about it at the same time. A friend of mine reached out last night via Messenger, and we chatted for like a nice long time. And she's, being very apologetic because she has 3 young kids and like 3 under 5. Like I can't believe, yeah. And she works full time. So, it's just a lot. And so I don't really expect to hear from her very often. But when I do, I'm just so cheered up. So I'm so happy she reached out last night and we had a nice little chat. And, she's overwhelmed, but she knows that this is just part of it and that eventually things will get a little easier. But I let her know that it's okay to acknowledge that this part's probably still really fucking hard. Like I don't have any kids and I'm struggling through the pandemic times. So
yeah,
3 under 5, like, yeah. Wow. But
so
yeah,
our cause for applause goes out to Shadow's friend. Applauding you.
Thank you
Shadow's
for reaching
friend.
out. I'm feeling boosted by your contact. So also, if you're out there are thinking about reaching out to anyone that you're like, oh, I don't know if they want to hear from me, do it, because I felt great getting a message from this friend, and I'm going to try and pass along that energy today.
Awesome.
What about you?
Okay, so my cause for applause has to do with sleep. So my cat Olivia is 3, and I don't know why, but she's been going through this thing where she meows in the middle of the night. Like every 2 hours she meows, and she thinks she wants food, but she doesn't want food. She wants love.
Okay.
Because we feed her, and then or we leave dry food out, or I'll get up, she'll meow at the door of the bedroom, I'll get up, she'll meow and make me follow her to the kitchen, and then I'll just point at her bowl that has dry food in it that's been sitting there, and she'll start eating it, and I'll go back to bed. It's ridiculous. And
are you sure there's not a ghost though?
There could be.
I think this sounds like
there
could
a ghost. Be. I also have to say she's also like super vocal all the time. I've never had a cat like this. Like she just meows all the time, like has conversations with us, like just, and she also like herds me and Christian. Like she'll just be meowing and I'll be in the office doing work and Christian will be like in the living room and she'll just come in the room and meow at me. And I'm like, what do you want? And she doesn't want food, and I'll pick her up and she doesn't want to be cuddled. And she will meow at me until I go into the living room, and then she'll flop down on the floor in the living room and start purring. Like she just wants us to be together. Like she's hurting us. Like she's like a sheepdog. But anyways, my cause for applause is that she didn't meow last night and I slept. Yay. Thank you, Olivia. Yeah. Thank you, Olivia, the cat.
Good for Olivia.
We'll see how tonight goes.
I hope it goes well. Like, I think, maybe it was a ghost and the ghost has moved on. That's my theory.
Yeah. Maybe I've had a ghost for 6 months since moved on. I'm cool with that. Let's see what happens after Halloween. Maybe after Halloween, she'll stop meowing. Yeah.
Or maybe like a few weeks after Halloween, she'll start meowing again. Maybe your ghost is on vacation.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for that.
Halloween's coming up and they have to go get together with their crew. And, then they go back to their individual haunting after. It's like their family reunion right now.
This is why I love... I do believe that cats are mediums. I'm not like I think that cats can see ghosts 100%. I think they can see ghosts like 100%. I think that cats can see ghosts. I don't know about dogs, but I think that cats can for sure.
I don't know if Gertie can see ghosts, but she definitely can hear sounds from very far away that makes me think she can see ghosts, because she'll start barking at something that none of us can hear. But then sure enough, like within a few minutes, the sound becomes more like prevalent, and we're like, whoa, sorry girl, like we have to like apologize to her because she's also quite vocal, but we'll apologize to her if she starts barking and we tell her to shush, but then it's like a legit reason. yeah
I think animals can read energies in different ways and vibrations in different ways, and I think it's a skill that we as humans can learn from animals.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, energy in terms of like our emotional energy and that kind of stuff that's around. I mean, the woo-woo stuff, everybody.
I know.
I like a good balance of the woo-woo and the scientific. That's what I'm all about. A balance of both. Because I believe you have to have a little bit of belief and magic in your life. We have to have some magic in our life. I believe in magic.
Oh, for
I also believe in unicorns. Okay.
That's
okay,
great.
Let's not get too far off the journey here.
All right.
Whose turn is it to go first today?
We could go on a journey on our unicorn.
I could talk about unicorns for a long time. Don't get me started, everyone.
Okay, great. So I think it's your turn to go first on Let's Relieve Regret. What would you like to regret or relieve today?
All right. This one is a little bit about the pandemic. So we've already talked a little bit about the pandemic with your cause for applause. So here we go. I have a regret that I want to let go of so I can give myself some relief. I keep guilting myself in my head about how I stopped working out during the pandemic. Anyone else out there? Yeah. So it kind of started in 2021. I had like this huge plan at the beginning of 2021 with my health. I decided to be super strategic about working out. So I created an Excel spreadsheet, literally with 52 lines. So like each week of the year. And then I had categories on it, like what type of workout, did I do yoga? Did I do a weight workout? How did I eat? Did I do mindfulness? And I committed to losing weight, getting stronger and feeling better. So this was 2021, right? So the pandemic had already been going on for like 8 months at that point. So I had this big plan and I made it 3 months and I did pretty awesome, but my body was fighting me on it the whole way. And I became really exhausted. I started having weird body pains. I got a little excusey. I started guilting myself. And I really got myself into a guilt and a shame spiral after 3 months. Turns out, everybody, that I actually was having a health problem. So I regret two things about this situation. I should have listened to my body sooner, because I actually discovered that I have some growths in my abdomen that need to be removed. And after I discovered that, I then used it as an excuse to stop working out altogether. So then I went the complete other way, that like, I need to rest. I need to look after myself. Poor me. I'm a victim. I can't do anything now. So the consequences of holding on to both of those beliefs, right, is that my health will actually deteriorate if I don't move my body. I'm still young and powerful, and my body is still strong in many ways. I can still work out my arms. I can still work out my legs. I can still get myself as strong as possible before I have to get my surgery done. And that's my new goal now. And the consequence of holding on to this guilt guilting myself over not taking action doesn't serve me at all. And now I have a healthcare team that's working on solutions for me. And now I know that I should trust my instincts about my body. And if my body's fighting me, I should listen to my body and I should be more aware. So I did everything I could in those moments with the tools I had at the time, and that's okay. That was who I was then. I've grown since then, and I relieve this regret so that I can move forward with health and freedom. Any movement's better than no movement, and I am now on the movement path.
Ooh, that was such a good one, Victoria.
Oh, thank you.
Would you like some feedback on your share today, or were you just hoping to kind of get that out there?
You know what? I think I'm just going to let that one sit there because I think a lot of people feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about it again. I'm sure we'll talk about physical museum, but I think I just wanted to vent. I just wanted to be heard.
Yeah. All right. That's great.
Thank you for listening to me, Shadoe.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good.
You can give a tiny bit of feedback if you want. I know you want to.
We can give feedback in another time. I've got the notes. I'm going to throw them in my binder. Yes, I have a binder for this podcast because I'm a super nerd.
That's right. We're organized. We're professionals here. We're professionals.
Just because it's in a binder doesn't mean it's organized. It's just like in a binder. There's no categories to it. It's just like, and like when I get ideas for our podcast, like I write them on Post-it notes and stick them in the binder as well. So, I mean, no sense of organization, just one. It's like a container. It's a container. It's not necessarily.
It's contained in a space.
Yeah.
In the time-space continuum.
For sure.
All right. Are you ready to go?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Definitely.
No segue there. Are you ready to go?
No, okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, great. So I have an experience I need to let go of to move forward. I regret not wearing a bra more often during lockdown. Previously, I had been overwhelmed by the layers of restrictive clothing that I used to wear. So when the idea came that we were all going to be inside for months at a time, I just loved the idea of loose clothing. Loose clothing made me like physically feel better during the pandemic. So that like, again, I gave myself a little bit of excusey stuff around how if I'm physically feeling better in loose clothes, then I'm going to mentally feel better in isolation. But, you know, like looking bad out in public isn't great either. So the consequences I'm missing out on holding to this regret is that I've been struggling to reintegrate bra wearing into my life. While it's not necessary most of the time, there are times that it's absolutely necessary. And for those times, I'm not quite ready to handle it. And it's not just that my bra size changed. I bought new bras. I bought all the new stuff. But yeah, but you know, I'm going to forgive myself because I did everything at the moment with the tools I had, and that included really skimpy bralettes. And that's okay. It's understandable that as the world was getting scarier, the comfort of staying inside in my baggy layers was too seductive to resist. That is who I was then, and I have grown in a few ways. I'm both stunned and relieved because I'm now capable of understanding the range of what self-care can look like. It doesn't always have to be comfort. Sometimes it's practicing the uncomfortable to becoming more comfortable in daily life.
Thank you for that. Do you want feedback or just want to be heard?
I mean, sure, you can lay on some feedback. I don't think it's like that. It's not as deep as some of our other ones.
Well,
so.
It's interesting because I think it is.
Interesting. Okay.
So I may be about to open up a whole can of worms here, so sure. I'll try and keep it short. But this idea around bra culture and breast culture.
Yeah.
So, are you wearing the bras out of, when you say I have to wear a bra in public, are you wearing it out of comfort for yourself or comfort for what you think will make other people comfortable?
I mean, honestly, I've gone through this cycle a lot in my thought process. And I think ultimately I've come to the decision that it's still my own comfort level. because I don't want to have conversations with people I'm not that close to about it. And if I don't wear a bra because of my bra size, people feel like that they can just talk about them or ask me questions. And I don't want to be asked questions.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have big boobs. So this is why I'm asking this. Like I don't have big boobs at all.
Part of it is just getting the dog walked without having a moment of like, you know, huge.
Like, will people actually come up to you and be like, do your boobs hurt? Like, what do you mean people will make comments on it? Like
some people will be like, wow, like I wish I would not wear a bra. Like they'll say like something like that, or like something that's like, it's a cloaked compliment, or maybe I'm being too sensitive.
What's that called? It's called microaggression. Would that be an example of microaggression?
Yeah. I mean, it's always like, oh, wow. Like I would not be comfortable to wear that without a bra, but like, good for you. Or stuff like that.
Or passive aggression.
Yeah, but like and again, like they're not saying, sometimes it is not even passive aggressive. Like they actually genuinely mean it. Like they're just like, oh, I couldn't leave the house without a bra. I can't believe you're doing it at your size, you know?
Right.
So, but like some of the stuff is like, I have kind of adapted into more of like the no underwire, but still a bra kind of structured garments. I'm liking those a lot. I'm bringing those in. And now that like winter is here, I can start hiding in hoodies and coats again. So it's not as like open of a discussion, but there's also just like the physical comfort sometimes, like, again, because I have such large breasts, there's a lot of friction between my breast and my torso. So like sometimes I do just want the lift so that I'm not getting sweaty there.
Interesting, the comfort thing. I don't remember the last time I wore an underwire. Like I basically live in sports bras and bralettes.
Nice.
And I mean, around my period, I definitely wear bras because my boobs hurt.
Yeah, same.
There'll be times that I don't wear a bra, but I usually wear a bra in public. I don't know if that's like a condition thing, because I don't want other people, like I don't want people to be like, oh my God, she's not wearing a bra, because that's my generation.
Right.
But there's like, we can discuss this on another podcast too, or we can have a special guest come in to talk about this, because I'm not an expert on like breast culture and bra culture, but
right.
You know, like the whole underwire thing, we now know that underwires aren't good for our boob health. Who originally designed bras? Men designed bras. Like, where is all this cultural like opinions about bras? And then we as women are all preconditioned around the bra, right? Like, I don't want my boobs to be saggy or hanging or whatever. Like we still have sexualized like opinions of our boobs.
Right. For sure.
Even though they're super functional. Right. So it's I want to commend you on sharing your not wearing a bra story. I think it opens up a lot of discussion, and listeners out there, maybe you're having some aha moments about your boobs, and I hope you are. And go and talk to a friend about it and see how they feel about their boobs. Let's start a boob discussion, or a bra discussion, right? What kind of bras do you wear? I hear you, man. I love a tight shirt. I love like a tight tank top, so I don't have to wear a bra. You know what I mean? Or like, I haven't worn a tank top with the built-in bra in a really long time, but I used to love the tank top with the built-in bra, you know?
They're coming back. I've noticed them at a lot more stores recently. And again, now that sizes are starting to show up in more stores, I've been picking up a few, and like sometimes it's all I need, especially for like being around the house, because again, it's more about the separation of the two pieces of flesh, which sounds so awful.
The piece of tissue. Like, the piece of tissue sounds awful too, but whatever, just call it what it is, the boob and the abdomen. Or
Exactly. There's like, there's a decent amount of like touching there, and I like to like give myself some comfort there. So it's interesting, because I didn't anticipate this when I was younger. Like I did develop early, and I didn't like that. And I wore a lot of like big knitted sweaters that my grandma would knit me, because that way I could hide. Like honestly, these sweaters were so big that I wore them at 8 years old, and they still fit me now at 34. So like,
I think that's like That's like a
And
whole
I'm
other
not a
piece
small
of
woman. I am
conversation,
5'10", like 300-ish pounds. Like these are huge sweaters. And I was wearing them at like my
shame. It's
100-pound,
shame,
8-year-old
right?
self being like, don't look at them.
Don't look at my boobs. There's like this whole shame piece around our boobs when you develop them in
Yeah.
puberty too, right? Like,
yeah. Well, and it was also this weird thing too, for some reason. I remember our elementary class keeping track of like who was wearing a training bra and who had started their period.
Training bras.
And like we would talk about it in the change rooms, and like so annoying. But like I had the first set of boobs, but I didn't get my period. But I was like the last one to get my period, so it was like I was even more weird. Like I didn't get my period till high school, and like I was relieved when it came. But like it was just
growing puberty is so hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's another public service announcement out there, everybody. Our poor kids are going through this pandemic. And on top of that, there's all these other parts about growing up, like puberty, man. So hard.
But
they make us who we are.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are we romanticizing our own childhood and saying that the next generation has to have what we had?
No, that's true. Maybe excellent point. Like, if we didn't have these social expectations, or maybe expectations more, is that the right word, or these like societal beliefs about puberty, especially around women, maybe it wouldn't be that hard. Do you know what I've started doing? Man, this opened up a whole, I knew that as soon as you started talking, I was like, okay, it's gonna open up a whole can of worms.
Right.
You go into the pharmacy to get pads and tampons.
Yeah.
I don't get a bag.
Okay, nice.
I'm totally conditioned to like, oh, hide the pads and tampons, like put it in the bag. Or sometimes you would
ask, like a backpack.
Ask the cashier for like a double bag if you didn't have a backpack, so people couldn't see through the white plastic bag.
Right.
Now I'm like, nope, and I just walk out with my box of tampons,
nice.
holding my box of tampons, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm on my period. Yeah. Are you judging me? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I was gonna walk around the box of tampons, walk from here to my car. I don't need to cover it up, And the other thing is this kind of drives me a little bit crazy too. I feel like every single drugstore I go into, or grocery store or whatever, has a different way of saying pads and tampons. So you're looking at the sign above the aisle, and it'll be like feminine hygiene. What does it have to do with hygiene? We get our periods. It's not dirty. It's just our periods. It'll say like feminine hygiene products, feminine paper products. Can you think of any other ones? Like no,
not off the top of my head.
Feminine hygiene products, feminine paper products. But I went into a drugstore the other day, and it said pads and tampons on the sign above the aisle, and I was like, yeah, just call it what it is. It's pads and tampons, right?
It's interesting that you say that, because I have two things to say about that. So feminine is also a word we can take away from menstruating products, because and it's not just because it's not only women who menstruate, it's just that it's not necessarily a feminine act to menstruate.
Yeah, it's a physical
and you
act.
can be feminine, and there's all kinds of things wrapped around femininity, and pads and tampons don't have to be one of them.
Yeah.
The other thing is I started a project, and I never finished it. I mean, welcome my ADHD. But I started a project like 8 or so years ago, where every time I was in like a public washroom, I would take a picture of the sign that explains like what to do with your pads and tampons. And it's all the same thing. It's always like this mystery of like, oh, please don't flush anything that isn't toilet paper. That's nice and clear. But when it's like, do not flush your, mystery feminine paper products, or, like all that kind of stuff. And I remember the first time I saw it really clearly laid out was at the Mars Discovery District. And in their bathrooms, they had like a really straightforward sign. And I think that was the one that was like only flush toilet paper. And I was like, amazing. Like, why is it not?
Those of you that don't know, the Mars Discovery District is not the planet Mars. If you're not in Toronto, the Mars Discovery District is like a building in Toronto that has a bunch of scientific research going on. It's like a
and it connects a lot of the University Health Network as well. So it's a great place. When I used to work in that area, I would actually have a lot of my lunches there just because it's like such a beautiful building inside, really well laid out and stuff. But
so we weren't talking about the planet Mars, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brought something else up.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And we're probably going to get a lot of flack from the plumbers out there. But
no.
This is what I have to say about this. Okay. I get not flushing your pads. They're plastic in there. They're super absorbent. Flushing tampons. I'm about to admit something, and we're probably going to get a bunch of comments on our thing. I flush my tampons. Do you know how much toilet paper men use to wipe their bum? It's more amount of, or even women. I mean, I shouldn't say men use to wipe their bum, but like, come on. Some man said we shouldn't, some plumber man somewhere along the line decided that it was tampons that are clogging up your plumbing system, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how much toilet paper people use to wipe their butt?
Okay, but Victoria, I think the problem with flushing tampons is that they can still expand. Like they're little sponges. They're not
already
just paper.
expanded. They expanded inside my body, and they are full of blood. And so they're already super saturated, and they can't expand anymore because they're already full of blood. They've already absorbed all they can absorb. When it comes out, that's how big it is.
I guess my understanding is that's why. I know you're saying like every time you take a tampon out, it's fully saturated. Come on, we've all taken out tampons that only have a little bit of saturation. Above this. Like,
I think that it's a male preconditioned bias that has blamed tampons on plumbing issues. That's my personal belief.
That's fair. I don't think it's that. I really don't. But that's because I have a real problem with the wipes that claim they're flushable when they're not.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that.
So I'm like, well, if those wipes aren't technically flushable, I can't imagine a tampon is. Like,
well, tampons, like if you're getting an organic cotton tampon, it's the same as toilet paper,
I guess. Yeah. Also, I think we're gonna get a lot of comments on making the switch to the cup. And
okay, I know that too, right? I have to say, I have period underwear. It's been life-changing for me. I love my period underwear. I use it as a backup. Sometimes I just use it without a tampon. So I'm trying to get away from tampons. I get it. But I also think that you have to do what your comfort level is, what your choice is, and there shouldn't be pressure until you're ready to make these changes, because it's your body and you do what you feel comfortable with.
Yeah. That's fair. And I'm still a tampon user. I'm not saying I've made the switch to a cup, but I don't flush them. I flushed them a lot as a kid. I will admit to that. But I think I was like in my mid-20s when we were somewhere and someone kind of made offhand comment that changes your life. Have you ever had those moments?
Yeah.
Like, someone just says something about like, oh, ew, my roommate flushes tampons. And then I'm like, oh, are we not supposed to flush tampons?
But then like the judgment came, and the judgment went into your mind, and you're like, I don't want to be judged that way. I'm just saying there's a discussion
I think this person
to be
had a good point, because I then did look into it, and now I just wrap it in tissue and put it in the garbage.
Yeah, if I'm at my cottage on a septic tank, I don't flush it. Okay,
right.
But if I'm like, I don't know, I pick and choose where I flush. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna get so many comments about this.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for talking about bras and bringing up feminine. See, I'm preconditioned of bringing up issues that have to do with the female body. Is that a good way of saying it? I guess you say it.
I would say bodies that menstruate.
Bodies that menstruate and bodies that have boobs.
Yeah.
Bodies that menstruate and bodies that have boobs.
Yep.
I
have a whole other episode on bodies with boobs, and how I guess the political side of male fatness, and how like as a man you can keep getting chubby unless you get chubby in your chest, and then that's a really huge problem. But yeah, that's a whole other episode.
Stay tuned, everybody. That one is
I
coming.
actually have 2 people I could bring on for that one, maybe.
Okay, good, because I think that's an important discussion to have, because that totally goes around shame and regret and the things we're talking about. So
and again, like the hatred of everything feminine, right? Because anyway,
we're going on our feminist tangents, everybody, and I'm proud to be a feminist, and feminist isn't a dirty word, everybody. Yes, thank you, Shadoe, for activating curious thoughts in me, and for activating curious thoughts in our listeners, hopefully as well, about what do you stand for as a woman? Right.
Sure.
And we will agree to disagree on the flushing of the tampons.
Yeah, that's fine. I know I'm right, so it's always fine.
Okay.
As I take a sip of my tea.
All right, are you ready to close off? All right,
wait, my feet aren't on the floor.
I was just gonna say
they never are.
All right,
always,
everybody.
like, when I'm sitting, I always have like my feet are always in like tippy toe position. What is that? Like,
that's your comfort. That's why you have to remind yourself before you get grounded to actually put your feet on the floor. If we don't do it, then we're missing that part of the being grounded.
Okay,
so,
great.
If you are listening in and you want to join us in our 3 breaths of letting go, and you are in a safe place to put your feet on the floor, as long as you're not driving, please put your feet flat on the floor. Feel your heels and your toes in the floor. Know that the planet Earth is underneath you and that gravity is always supporting you. It's the foundation that is always there for you. Put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and let's breathe. On this first breath in, I want you to say to yourself, I release the pressure of expectations. On the second breath, I relieve my regrets. My past does not define me. And on this last breath, I am excited to move forward. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Let's Relieve Regret. My name is Victoria Muir-Bercia, and my co-host is
Shadoe Ball.
And we look forward to seeing you, hearing you, being with you in community next time. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
This episode of Let's Relieve Regret was produced by Shadoe Ball and Victoria Muir-Bercia.
Editing by Chris Donchalescu.
We are an independent podcast supported by you, our listeners.
If you think this podcast sends a valuable message, you had an aha moment, or learned something new about yourself, help us realize our goal of reaching as many listeners as possible.
We encourage you to take action and support us right now by choosing one of the following options.
You can easily support us by
following us on Instagram at relieve.regret.
Tell 2 friends.
Leave a 5-star review on whatever app you're listening to us on.
Leave a tip at coffee.com/Let's Relieve Regret podcast. That's ko-fi.com/Let's Relieve Regret podcast.
Also, you can join our conversation in the Facebook group, Let's Relieve Regret podcast.